Hi there, I'm Grant Mitchell, the community chef at Norwest Co-op Community Food Center. Today we're going to be roasting a chicken. Sounds simple, it is simple, but there's a few aspects to it that make roast chicken great. Why chicken? Well, people love chicken, I love chicken, but there's also an economical way of approaching this. A whole roast chicken, although it's a bit of an expense, bigger expense, it goes a long way. So a whole roast chicken can feed a family, as well there's going to be leftovers afterwards that could make another meal. So it goes across many meals and it goes across many plates. So let's get started. Of course, everything starts with an onion. What we're going to do is just cut off our ends. Get that skin off, and we can save all of this skin and the ends and so forth for the stock that we're going to make afterwards. Onions are an absolute necessity in a stock, kind of an absolute necessity in a lot of things, but this is all good. It doesn't have to go in the compost or the garbage. Keep our cutting board clean. How many onions? 1, 2, depends on the size of the onion and of course how much you love onions. And then because we're roasting them, we don't want our onion to be too small. So I'm just going to basically bisect it, give it a good rough chop. Make fancy shapes, whatever you like, doesn't matter. And that's the onion. Next, we're going to add potatoes. Potatoes will be our starch. They will cook in the pan along with the chicken. The fat and the juices from the chicken are going to roast them up nicely. I'll go 1 potato a person. If you got more mouths to feed, then you multiply that by that. So the potato, I'm just going to do 2 right now. Same as the onion. Nice big chunks, because that'll stand up to roasting. These Yukon Golds roast well, they'll be nice and creamy inside. So I've just cut them in half and then into smallish shapes, like so. Make sure that all those potato pieces are the same size, and then they'll cook together nicely. We're going to roast mushrooms, and because it's going to be in the pan for quite a while, we're probably just going to cut these in half, I think. They're great for flavor. They're going to add flavor to whatever stock or liquid that you get at the bottom of that pan, and it's really going to complement chicken and potatoes and everything else that's happening. Celery, a couple of ribs of celery. I'm just going to trim off the ends here. Once again, this is perfect for stock, so we're going to save this. We're not going to let this go. Celery is expensive, but it's kind of worth it. Roasted celery is, it softens, and it's really quite a delight, and it will also, once again, add flavor to whatever liquids are happening at the bottom of your pan. We don't have to chop these up into small pieces, just nice big chunks. Then that way, at the end of it, you've got some nice roasted celery. All right, introducing the chicken. Here it is. This is a fryer chicken, so it's a smaller chicken. This is going to be more affordable. Obviously, you can get bigger ones, and obviously they're going to be more money. But for a tighter budget, these are available, and these will feed a family. As well as we'll show later, goes across a couple of meals. So it's affordable, it's versatile, it's a chicken. We don't have to do too much with it. Roasting it's really going to bring out the most as far as flavor and texture and all of that. So, yay, chicken. All right, everything is prepped, so we're going to toss it all together, get them all nice and married. In you go, mushrooms. In you go, onions and celery. And we're going to give it a little hit of black pepper. Thank you. and just a little splash of olive oil, like so. And then we can just very carefully toss all these together. Excellent, and into the pan they go. So you can see that it's just one layer. I'm not heaping it up. This is a crowded pan, but I think this is good enough. We're going to add some fresh herbs. The sage is going to make a lovely little fragrant bed for our chicken, and so is this thyme. These herbs will stand up to the heat and they'll give off a lot of nice flavor both to the vegetables and the chicken itself. And I'm going to get the chicken in there, and I'm just going to get a pair of tongs so I don't sully my hands with the raw bird. I'm putting it breast side down, so all the fat and all the juices are going to run down and keep that lean white meat moist. And there's plenty of skin to crisp up on top. I'm just going to salt that skin a little bit. And I'm going to pepperize that. Give it a little splash of olive oil. I think that looks pretty good, and I think that's ready for the oven. Right in the center. Okay, the bird is in the oven. I put the heat at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have time, 325 is great. Slow and low. It's going to make for a more tender, better cooked chicken. But 350 will work as well. And that's going to take about an hour. Depends on the size of the bird, depends on everything else in the pan, depends on how many times you've opened up the oven. So the most important rule with cooking chicken, I think, well, one of the many, many important rules is don't rush it. Give yourself some time. Don't expect to nail it in 1 hour. Especially if you're serving a whole chicken, you want to let it rest a bit after it comes out of the oven. So absolutely, give yourself a bit of margin. Something else that bears mentioning is, of course, safety. I had our raw chicken in this bowl, and I used these tongs. So this needs to be sanitized. I absolutely recommend that you prepare yourself a nice little squirt bottle of sanitized solution. Typically, that's going to be chlorine bleach in water. And that's going to be a couple of drops in, well, this is about 750 milliliters of water. So about a half a teaspoon, let's say, to a full spray of water. Just make sure all the surfaces that the raw chicken has touched is sprayed down with a sanitizer. All right, our chicken is ready. I've taken the temperature. It's at 165, it's over 165, so I know that we're good to go. I don't want to overcook it, but certainly we've left it in for enough time. And it took me about an hour and 20 minutes at 350. So again, we needed that extra 20 minutes just to ensure that it's at the right temperature. All right, let's rescue it from the oven. Oh, yeah. There she is. So our skin is nice and crispy. There we are, taken the temperature, and we're shooting up to 160, past 165, so excellent. All our vegetables are nice and cooked. Our mushrooms are nice and brown and roasty. There's a bit of liquid at the bottom of the pan, so that's our jus. We can drape that over the chicken if we want, or we can strain that and make a gravy. So this is all ready to go, and this is a successful roast chicken. It's ready to be taken apart and ladled out to your family and loved ones. Now we're going to be looking at what we do with the leftovers of the roast chicken. Maybe all the meat got eaten at dinner, that's okay. We're going to be using the bones to make a stock, and that's going to be a whole other meal. So we've actually not wasted a bit of that chicken, which is great because you've gotten the bang for your buck. You are going to be using every penny that you spent. So we're going to be making a chicken stock, and we're going to talk about how that can be moved into a couple of different options for meals. Okay, let's build our stock. We've torn apart our chicken carcass, and we're going to talk about the very basic minimum of getting a stock going. So we've got our formerly chicken carcass. These are the bones, essentially. We've got some onion skins that we've saved. Celery is a must in a stock. And I have some leftover, there we are, carrots. Carrots are a stock and a must. That's sweetness, and it'll give it a lot of body and so on. Did I mention onions? Yes, onions, of course, in the stock. So I've got even more leftovers to throw in the pot. We do have to keep in mind that a stock pot is not a garbage can, but it's a great way to get the most out of these tomato ends and these mushroom stems. So this is all going to combine with everything else we've just put in the pot, and it's going to give well, a little more character to our stock. So I'm just going to throw this, get all of it in there. There we go. Fantastic. A conventional stock should ideally have bay leaves in it for aromatics and flavor, and good old thyme. Thyme is a versatile flavor. It stands up to heat, and to me it's indispensable, especially when making a stock. Okay, so now what we want as far as flavors and ingredients are in the pot. All that's left is water. We're going to top this off with cold water. It's very important. And get it on the heat. We want a low flame if you have gas, a low setting if you've got electric. We do not want this to come to a boil. That's going to excite all the little bits of fat, and it's going to make a cloudy stock. We want a nice, clear, clean stock, so we want a low simmer. There should be little bubbles popping up every now and then. As well, we're going to have this on the stove probably for a couple hours. It's up to you how much time you have or how long you want to go, but I would recommend a pot this size at least a couple hours, at least. The more time, you're going to concentrate the flavors. You're also going to cook out some of those flavors from your vegetables, so it's a bit of a balancing act, but minimum 2 hours. After that's done, you're going to, of course, strain it. You don't need to go so far as a cheesecloth or anything like that, but at least a fine mesh strainer to get all those little bits that are going to you know, just sort of muddy up your stock. Once it's strained, I recommend cooling it in the fridge, and then once it's cool, all the fat will have risen to the surface, and if you are uninterested in that fat, then you can scrape it off and dispose of it. If you are interested in it, well, chicken fat's great for frying an egg. Save it, it's all good. So now we have our chicken stock. What to do with it is up to you. You can say freeze it for a later use. It comes in handy down the road. You can make soup, you can make stock. It's useful for braising other meats, as well as, you know, it's going to come in handy when you want to try something different, like say make a Thai soup by adding coconut milk and lemongrass. These are all available at grocery stores. As far as the meat goes, well, the meat is, you can either eat it that night, or you can save it and repurpose that meat for other dishes like chicken salad sandwiches or chicken pot pie or a stir fry or whatever else. Chicken meat, as we all know, is tremendously versatile and could nearly go in anything. So by roasting the chicken, we've really set ourselves up for a number of options down the road. I should also add that throughout this whole process, we've been in control of all the sodium that we want in our diets. So if you want 0 salt, then you add 0 salt, and you've still gotten a lot of flavor and a lot of nutrition out of, and a lot of enjoyment out of this whole process. So as we can see, roasting a chicken is a magical thing.